I put 4 things that people are most interested in, and no surprise, it was how we keep, in shape with a busy job and balance it with like business and life. So it'd be good to get your take on, and I'll talk about mine.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is really hard. Like, a lot of people think you can that's easy to balance stuff, but it's really hard. I need to understand what your priority is. If your priority is to balance this, meaning go to the gym, also find time to work, you have to then limit other stuff you do during the day.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I know I need to go to the gym before work, I need to wake up at 5 a.m. It means I can't go out the night before.
Mm-hmm.
But for some people, like if you're in your 20s, that's hard to hear. Like,
yeah,
you can't go out. It's like,
I get what you mean. So almost like a domino effect. I got the domino effect of like your decisions. So you not going out means you can wake up early to go to the gym. That makes
so
sense.
you have to realize you can't go out the night before because I need to be at bed at 10 a.m. or like at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. and I need to wake up at 5 a.m. And also means that during the day you have to get work done quick and efficient because you need to leave work early to go sleep. Yeah, kind of thing. So I think that's how I did it. If I think about when I was even young, because I was always in like sports and I had to practice before school, even when I was in college. So I always knew to find time. You just need to do what's important, kind of thing. True. Yeah,
because that's how I found you actually on TikTok. Because I do have friends from different circles. I have the finance friends, I have the creative friends, I have entrepreneurs, which I'm spending a lot of time with. With you, I found on TikTok, and I was fascinated because you show the day in the life, and you're more market side, I'm more M&A, so it's the late hours. Talk a bit about how you structure your day, because that's quite fascinating. Because when I saw you, number one, you got some heavy lifts as well, but the fact that you keep it all balanced, and you go in gym in the morning, which is not something I'm used to. Talk about that. I think that'd be super helpful.
So how it started was, luckily for me, I had a placement year. So during that placement year, I knew I wanted to go to the gym, and I had a 9 to 5 now. Because obviously I was in university before. So I tried going to gym after work. It was hard. I couldn't do it. I was training at King's Gym. Shout out my guys at King's Gym. It was hard. I couldn't. You get to the gym at like 7 p.m. I'm already.
It's just so packed.
It's packed. You're tired. You end up spending like an extra 2 hours waiting for stuff. So I then knew, you know what? I have to wake up early. Like that's the really only, like a lot of people think you just have to wake up early. You just have to wake up early. So I decided to wake up at 5 a.m. I tried out like for a week. I was like, you know what? This is not bad. I just realized that you can't sleep at 1 a.m.
Yeah, you can't.
You have to sleep at like 10 p.m. So I just decided, you know what? Gym before work. And then it actually works well because once you've trained, you have the rest of the day to do whatever. So for us, for your example, you work in M&A. If you need to stay to 1 a.m., you don't really mind because you've already trained.
Oh, I do mind these days, but I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so for you, it was the morning. For me, it's a bit different. I did a couple of internships. So I did some at Goldman, and I didn't get that offer. So after going to university and graduating, I did a few off cycles. And so I started off doing it in the morning. And the reason why was very similar to your rationale. I wanted to get out of the way, and it allows me to attack the day. And as you know, especially when you're first starting off in M&A, it's who can stay the longest, right? If you have a bit of work you want to complete, you have to complete. And that's where the idea of working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. But I guess the way it's evolved is I've been a lot more creative and set up systems to allow me to use pockets of time. And I think it goes back to how I've always been. I've always had this sense of urgency. And I guess that's what helped me get into M&A. So in my head, it's like, every moment needs to be as productive as possible.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't necessarily always go in the morning. I will wake up. What I'll do is the night before, I will set up in a way that it's very seamless to go in. And so I'll give you an example of now. A few weeks ago, I was doing a prep, right? I was doing a men's physique, and I'm going to do it next year. So that was a lot more challenging because I had to do the element of cardio. So I would set up my suit the night before. I'd prep all my meals on the weekend so that when I wake up and I pray, I can be out the house within 15, 20 minutes because everything is easy to walk into. Yeah. So I'll do that. I'll go and do my cardio and then get changed, go into work. I like to split things up into mini days, right? Yeah. You've got your 8 or 9 to 12, which is you get through the projects maybe you had the day before, or you get through your to-do list. And then you always have that lull period. As soon as I have that lull period, I use that as an opportunity to go gym. So maybe lunch, rather than me eating lunch at the desk, I see it as idle time, because it goes back to that sense of urgency, which I identify myself with. Then it's like, cool, I don't want to just waste, or I've got a lull. Let me go to the gym and let me optimize my time so that after work, it can be used for other things such as relationships, working on business and other interests.
I mean, it just goes to show you find what works for you and stick to it. So I tried the lunchtime, like 12 p.m., going to gym stuff. And for me, it was just difficult having to bring like all my gym stuff to work. Change your work, shower. But if it works for you, then it works for you. I think the main takeaway from this like little portion of this is find what works for you and stick to it. There's no point trying to copy me waking up at 5 a.m. if you want to sleep more. I wake up at 7 a.m. I mean, there's no point. Find a time that works for you. If that's before work, during work, or after work, just find what works for you and stick to it, because some people are like morning people, some people are evening people. I'm a morning person. Like, even if I wasn't going to the gym, I'd be up at 6 a.m. So for me, it was more like, okay, if I'm up at 6 a.m., I could just go to the gym now, get out of the way. I have most of my energy after the gym, get to work. I'm still on a high, get a lot of work done. And then once it's like 8, 9 p.m., I'm like literally on a decline. I can't stop myself, but yeah.
I agree with you. And one thing I also think people don't think of is you spend your time how you want to. So people struggle with this whole thing, and I struggle too with procrastination, but whatever you're doing with your time currently is what you really want to do. So say if you're watching the World Cup, for example, but you've got an essay to write or a piece of content to edit, even though if you don't get the content done, it's because you've decided to allocate your time to watching the World Cup, which is fine, but you need to just be really objective. And I've gone through a period of personal development where I've had to almost step out of myself and look objectively to understand that this is how I wanted to set up my time, or use my time as effectively as possible. That's what I thought was important to me, or however you're using your time is how you want to do it, because there's like physiological benefits attached to it, where if you set this thing and say, okay, I want to edit 5 videos in a day, and you don't, if you get upset now, that's going to affect you, and that's going to have a knock-on effect. So you have to ensure that you're just okay with what you're trying to achieve, and you're recognizing that that's how I want to spend my time.
Yeah, I mean, something just popped in my head. I think procrastination is because the consequence of you not doing the action isn't that severe. I've never met anyone that's really ill and has procrastinated taking the drug. It doesn't happen.
It's true. I didn't think of that, actually.
The consequence of you not doing what you're meant to do isn't that severe. So if, for example, I mean, when I was back at university and I'm meant to be studying and I'm just like maybe playing FIFA, it's because, you know what, I have 2 more days. I think I could still pass the exam. If I mean, if I don't get first or T1, it really doesn't matter to me. So if the consequence of your action isn't severe, you're going to procrastinate. I mean, if people are at work, if you have an intense 9-to-5 job, like work in an investment bank, no one procrastinates. Because you know, like, if you don't perform and if your feedback comes back, you didn't do well, you know what? You might get fired. So no one procrastinates at work. It's only when it comes to like stuff you don't see as a priority.
So what you just talked about speaks to the environment we're into, right? An investment bank, they're not super special people, but it's a lot of people with common interests. It's a very performance-based environment that good is not rewarded. Excellence to some degree is rewarded through your annual bonuses. There's discrepancies. Like everyone knows it's a high-paying job from university, but you're rewarded through the bonuses. But everyone is after excellence. I still think there's an element of procrastination there. But for me, I feel like procrastination, I look at it as it happens. I'm human. But the way I try to do it is I split it into, by taking a little bit of action, how much closer can I get to my goal? And I guess we're going to segue into how I structure things. When something's really big, like start a business, for example, that's huge. And the brain wants to conserve energy. So when you're going through that thought process, it can be quite daunting. And in it being daunting, you might not have the actions. But when you break it up into components, parts, then it's a lot easier to achieve. So it might be research a business name, or, you know, speak to a couple of people who have been in the industry, or set up 5 calls. But if you split it up into actionable goals, I think it's a lot easier. And I guess it's the same with your work day when you're doing financial modeling. You know, go and build this model on this company. It might take you 10, 12 hours. You're not going to do it all at once. You need to download the historicals. You need to look at comparables. You need to understand the sector so that you have the tools and you're very clear about what steps you'll do. You have the survival mechanism, which wants to conserve energy, which doesn't want to think too hard sometimes. And you know when you're really trying to focus.
Yeah.
And so once you split everything into actionable steps, it's a lot easier to follow and you have a lot more clarity.
100% agree. I think the main thing people need to do is get a routine that works. So like you said, split your day into actionable goals and focus on achieving each of that every day. So for me, it would be like alarm set the night before at 10 p.m. I need to wake up at 5 a.m. Wake up at 5, goal 1 ticked. Head to the gym, kill it, goal 2 ticked. Get home, meal preps already, get to work.
Meal preps, yeah. It's true.
Get to work, perform all the work, goal 3 ticked. So it's when you have those different goals and you're taking them throughout the day, it actually creates a sort of like feedback to your brain. So you're like, oh, you know what?
It's working.
It's working. So you're going to keep on, like, your brain's going to produce some like chemicals that's going to incentivize you to continue doing all of that. And that's where a lot of people get that drive. So I don't think you can actually teach drive. I think it's something you have or you don't. And the only way to get it is to do stuff that's going to make you feel like, you know what, I can do this. And that drive keeps on coming. And that's what a lot of people think motivation is, in quotes. It's like, I want to motivate you to do this, but you can't really motivate anyone, I think, personally.
You think it's, okay.
Because a lot of people think motivation is just like fire you have in your body. And when you don't have that, I'm just going to stay on my bed today. And when you have that, I'm going to, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym and kill it. But like I said before, if the consequence of, doing something is not severe, you're not going to be motivated.
It's true.
Because you think about it, a lot of times on social media, you see people trying to lose weight. Like, I can't lose weight. I'm not motivated to go to the gym. I can't do that. But when you see all this like crazy transformation, someone went from like 350 pounds to 150 pounds because your doctor said, you know what, if you don't lose this weight, you might not be here tomorrow.
You're saying the repercussions.
All of a sudden, that drive was there and they lost all the weight. So that's how I see it.
That's a good way to think of it. I think to myself, if you have a job, maybe you're a student, let's just say a job because that's who we're speaking to, right? I'd like to think that you come in on time, because if you come in late, let's say if you start from 9, you end at 5 and you maybe turn up at 12, you will be sacked if you don't meet that time. So if you take a step back and use that same principle to your life, because you're going into work knowing that the consequence, number one, I need to get paid. I've got bills to pay.
Yeah.
And number two, if I turn up really late and I perform really badly, you'll get sacked. You need to care about yourself enough and apply it to your own life that if I don't follow this diet plan consistently, or if I don't continue to work on my business, I will continue to be in that 9 to 5, or I won't lose the weight. Yeah. So attaching repercussions to your actions can be the driving force. And it's not always fear can be the motivator, because I do feel you get to a diminishing return, thinking more beyond you. And what I mean by that is you want to support your mum or support your brother and sister, but leveraging wherever you can get motivation, but looking objectively at other situations where you're very consistent with your time, like work, for example, and then thinking, how can I apply this structure to my life?
Yeah, I think one thing I realized is if you're very consistent with one thing, so if, for example, you can't go to the gym, but you're so consistent with work, it means you know how to be consistent. So it's not an issue of consistency. It's the gym isn't a big enough deal for you.
That's it. People need to be just objective.
People just need
honest.
to feel themselves. Yeah. The gym is not a big enough deal for you, because if you can be consistent with just one thing, I mean, for me, I'll speak about this, it's personal, but I'm not good at going to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
And for someone like me, I can wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
You can make it.
I could go to church if I want to.
It's true.
It's because to me, it's like I haven't put church as high on my priority list.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse. It's on me.
Perfect
like
way.
I have to take accountability for that.
Exactly.
It's not that I can't find the time, or come on, you can find the time. It's not a big enough deal.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show, prioritize what is important for you, and you're gonna achieve what you think is important.
100%.
And if you don't, it's because it's low on your priority list. So you have to just fix that.
Yeah. I definitely would say a couple of things that have helped me splitting time frames. And what I mean by that is So let's just keep on the gym, for example. People say they can't get to the gym 4 days a week. But if you think to yourself, you've got the weekend, you know, most people, we sometimes work on a weekend, but it's less so now, a bit more senior. But you got a weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So you can go Saturday and Sunday. So that's 2 days out of the 4. You got Friday. Generally, Fridays you tend to finish earlier. And you've got the fact that now we're in this hybrid way of working where you can work remote, so work from home. Most of the times I work from home for Friday. So that's 3 out of the 4 days. You can find time from Monday to Thursday to go once, just to go once. So speaking to the split in time frames, on weekends, I use that as an opportunity to work on my business. So I have a business called Total Fit. It's a corporate wellbeing platform designed to bring health and wellness experience to employees. And it's something I'm going to be raising funding and, I'll be honest, going full time.
Yeah.
Everyone's asking me, how do I achieve what I achieve or do a lot, work in a busy job? Well, it goes back to what I prioritize. On weekends, for example, I'll still get my sleep because it's important, but I prioritize waking up early because I care and I think long term that I want this business to be full time. So whereas most people are, and it's fine, spending their weekend relaxing, maybe not getting up too much, I say that I'm not in the office spending my hours on a job. I can dedicate all this time to the business. So I will wake up as early as possible, sometimes 6, sometimes 7, and I'll split my days into mini days. So let's say for ease of maths, I will wake up at 6. 6 to 12 is one day. Then I might have a little break. 12 to 3 is another day. And then maybe 3 to 9 is one day. And then 9 to 12 is another day. So in that, I have 4 days. And if you say that over a year or over a week, I have a lot more time than the average person. Do you know what I mean? And I use my weekends a lot more productively. The other thing I try to do is I always write and focus on what is the most important thing I want to achieve today. Because you know how it could be. I've tried everything. Go back to when we were studying, right? You know, you can easily get distracted by so many things, but you need to understand this is the one thing you need to do. Like focusing on the biggest thing you want to achieve and letting that goal be present and everything you're doing. And sometimes I have to ask myself, you know, what am I trying to achieve? Is this helping my overall goal? Because it goes back to that knock-on effect. If I don't achieve it, physiologically, I'm going to be disappointed. It's going to affect my day and maybe make me less motivated to take action the next day.
Yeah.
So being constantly aware allows me to go forward and achieve it.
Yeah.
Like you.
If I think about how I structure my day, one thing I realized is you see a lot of videos, people just like, I wake up at 5 a.m., I look through my emails quickly. They have all these fancy morning routines and stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, wake up at 5, spend the least amount of time doing stuff at home, get to the gym quickly, and then once I get to work, I do the most important stuff first.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people spend maybe 10, 15 minutes doing a catch-up first, going through their emails, or doing like very admin routine, admin stuff. But to me, there's no point. You have to do the stuff that adds value first. I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to get big bonuses. Mm-hmm. So why not do the stuff that puts you in the best light in the team and actually adds value to the team first? Because if you spend your time doing some admin stuff, it's good for you, but does anyone really care at work? Probably not. So that's how I structure my day. I do the most important stuff first, and then, I mean, for us, we could get to 7 p.m. and something like lands on our desk. But it is what it is. You do the most important stuff first, and the low value task shouldn't be what consumes most of your day.
It's true.
Because why would you let that consume your day? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.